So, good afternoon, everyone. We will continue with our discussion on the ratios. Last time, I think we had seen liquidity ratio, then leverage ratio, and profitability ratio. Okay, so the last one which is remaining is activity ratios. And after that, we'll see two numericals just to understand um, how these ratios are applied and the conclusions can be derived from them. So, are you able to see the slide with the title activity ratios?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, liquidity ratio had a purpose of trying to assess the short term liquidity of the firm, how well they are able to meet the short term liabilities. Profitability ratios had a purpose of finding out the overall profitability and the efficiency, and the leverage ratios are to find out what is the percentage of debt and equity in raising the complete capital. Okay, so there are a number of other ratios of various types under each heading. Okay, so we had seen them in detail. Those ratios thing will be revised when we'll take the numericals. Now the last one is the activity ratios. Uh, the funds of creditors and the owners are invested in various assets, okay, to generate the sales and profits. So it is said better the management of these assets, more will be the amount of sales which the firm can go for. Okay, so activity ratios are employed to evaluate the efficiency with which the firm managers are able to manage and utilize its assets. Okay, so that is the first point. Second one is the ratios are also called as turnover ratios because they indicate the speed with which the assets are being converted or turned over into sales. Okay, so we'll see them in detail when these ratios are discussed in detail. So basically, these ratios involve a relationship between sales and the assets. Okay, so whatever funds we have raised, we are going to invest them in various kind of assets. Okay, fixed assets in the form of machines, land, plant, and all those things. Then there are intangible assets, then there are current assets. Okay, so whatever capital raised will be converted or say invested into different kind of assets, and those assets, how well they are utilized, will be dictated by the sales figures. Okay, so these two figures will help you to find out the how well the assets have been utilized. Okay, so going ahead, the first kind of ratio under activity ratios is inventory turnover ratio. Okay, so the inventory here we are speaking about is the finished goods inventory. Okay, we'll see later on about what to do with the other types of inventories like raw material and work in process. Okay, but here in this ratio, this figure is going to take into consideration the finished goods inventory. Okay, so as we see here, it is the ratio of cost of goods sold upon average inventory. Okay, so average inventory means what? At the beginning of the year, what was the inventory figure, and at the end of the particular financial year, what was the inventory figure. Okay, so if you don't have this figure available with you, you can go for uh, the end of the year inventory figures. Okay, and for cost of goods sold also most of the times is not available to the outside people, so we can use sales figure. So sales divided by inventory, that is end of the year inventory. Okay, but this formula is the better one as compared to what I just told you, sales upon inventory, that is year in inventory, because if your business is such that it has cyclical nature, and sometimes the sales are more than the other periods, okay, then you will not get the proper inventory turnover ratio from the letter ratio, where end of the inventory figures are used and sales figures are used. Okay, so sales figures are basically uh, also varying because the market price of the products may vary depending on what you are selling, but the cost of the goods sold is somewhat recorded at cost, okay, not at the market price. Okay, so they have a less fluctuations in them. Okay, now another term which is related to this ratio is uh, the days of inventory holding. Okay, so that we'll see in the next slide. uh, Inventory turnover ratio, high inventory turnover ratio indicates good inventory management. Okay, that means our inventories which we are maintaining are not slow moving, and we are able to convert them quickly into the sales, and sales obviously will get converted into cash. Okay, and on the other hand, if the very low inventory turnovers are seen, they lead to unnecessary tie-ups of funds. Okay, because inventories uh, held up some capital. Okay, then reduce profits and increase costs. Fine, but there is some more analysis is required here. Like, you all must be studying the inventory models under operational research, so you may be aware that there is a trade-off between the number of orders you place for a particular amount of raw materials required in a year and ordering cost. Okay, so if you increase the number of orders, which is going to result into high inventory turnover, but that is going to increase your ordering cost. Okay, and vice versa, if you have less number of orders, then your uh, inventory will move at a smaller rate, but the ordering cost will be less. So you need to have that analysis also. It doesn't mean blindly you can say high inventory turnover means a good thing. Okay, so you need to also look into whether we are also facing any kind of frequent stockouts because of not maintaining enough inventory at our end. Hmm? So that also we need to do. Another term which is related to this ratio is days of inventory holding. Okay, means what we do, this inventory turnover figure will tell you like how many times the inventory is being turned around. Okay, so for example, if you have 3000 rupees of the cost of goods sold, okay, and the average inventory is of say 300. Okay, so how many times it will be? 10 times your inventory is getting turned around. Okay, so those 10 times means if you divide 360 by 10, then it will be 36 days average. On average 36 days the inventory is taking the time to turn into sales and convert into cash. Are you understanding? So first, inventory
Yes, sir.
turnover is nothing but how many times the inventory at your end is getting turned into sales. Okay, so that figure if you use and divide 360 by that, you will get how many days at average you are keeping your finished goods inventory. Okay, so suppose 360 by uh, 10, that was the figure which we are discussing just now. So 36 days means within 36 days your finished goods inventory is getting converted to sales, and then again you generate the new inventory, again you sell it. So like that, within every 36 days you are able to convert your finished good inventory into sales. Okay, so in absence of actual figures of cost that I told you, our cost of goods sold is generally not available to us, not in any financial statement so easily. And if the average inventories figures are also not available, then instead of that we can use year of the end inventory, and for cost of goods sold we can use sales figure. Okay, So during numericals also, you may feel that which formula to use where. So that is a detail. What we should learn is how do we conclude something out of these figures, okay, from out of these ratios. So how to use it for our own advantage and what is the inference out of that, that is important to learn here. Okay, if you go to another book, uh, other than I am Pandey, they may use some other terminologies, the other way they will try to find out the same things. Okay, so try to understand the logic, why, what is the purpose of that particular ratio, and how are we going to use it. Okay, so first ratio was inventory turnover, that is nothing but cost of goods sold upon average inventory, that is inventory at the beginning of the year plus inventory at the end of the year divided by 2. Okay, and another ratio is DIS, that is days of inventory holding, that is nothing but 360 divided by the inventory turnover ratio which we found out in the beginning. Okay, now going ahead, uh, to find out the quality or the liquidity of the debtors, there are these two kinds of ratios which help us. Debtors turnover ratio, okay, that means whatever amount of sales which we have given on credit, like why do we give on credit, because uh, the way we take certain things on credit from our supplier, we try to use the supplier's fund. Same way, whoever is your customer or dealer to whom you are supplying your products, they may also not pay you all the money of your products at once. Okay, so they will also try to use suppliers fund concept to generate funds. Okay, so that is in cycle. Okay, every year this things goes on, and by the end of the year it is supposed to be again coming back to the normal. Okay, so credit sales is a common thing. Okay, so credit sales, whatever amount of credit sales we are given divided by the total debtors. Okay, that is the uh, basically the average debtors at the beginning of the year, how many debtors were there, and at the end of the year how many debtors were there. Okay, so that figure we'll be using. If we don't have average figure, then we can use end of the year figure. Okay, and the same way we had done for inventory turnover, we use it for dividing 360 to get the days of inventory holding. Same way we can have average collection period, means on an average after how many days we are able to get our money back from the debtors. Okay, so 360 divided by debtors turnover ratio. So suppose credit sales are 3000 again, and debtors suppose amount which is remaining is uh, suppose 600. So we get 5 as the debtors turnover ratio, means 5 times in a year we are giving them on credit, they are returning us back. We are giving them on credit, they are returning us back the money. Okay, so 5 times we are churning it like that, turning it. Okay, so what is the average period? 360 by 5. Okay, so it comes to be uh, how much it comes, 5, it is 6, and around how much it comes, 360 by 5, 6 and 12. So those many number of days we get for converting or getting back our money. So on average, uh, our credit is remaining with our creditors for 72 days. Okay, so within a 72 days, average collection period is 72 days. Okay, so now here also we must try to understand that sometimes we may see some of the firms may try to improve debtors turnover ratio by not giving uh, credit not giving products on credit to the debtors who are very slow in giving. Okay, so we are making it tight. We are only giving it to the debtors who are able to give us our um, uh, money back in time. Okay, so but that is also to be done within limits. If you make it very tight, what happens is that whatever you have manufactured, it may not get sold out. Okay, so you need to keep some faith on the people who are helping you to sell your products. Okay, so some of the percentage of your debtors will always take more time. Okay, but just because of that, if you don't give them credit sell advantage, what will happen is your competitiveness as compared to your competitive firms may go away. Okay, uh, that is one side point about this. So it's not so black and white that debtors turnover ratio, if it is uh, very good, it is going to have a good profitability and nothing like that. You need to do a overall analysis. Okay, so average collection period and debtors turnover ratio will help you to find out the quality or the liquidity of the debtors. Fine. uh, then going ahead, higher turnover ratio and the shorter the ACP, better is the management of the debtors, that we already seen. Okay, asset turnover ratios. Okay, so these are the last category of the ratios. Um, so if you carefully see in the numerator, there is always sales figure. Okay, and in the denominator there are different terms. Whatever terms come, that name comes for the asset turnover ratio, net asset turnover ratio, sales upon net assets. So net asset figure is nothing but net fixed assets plus net current assets. Okay, so net current asset means the current assets minus current liabilities. Clear? Sales upon net assets. Same way, sales upon total assets, where we don't subtract the current liabilities, you sales and total assets. Okay, then fixed assets turnover ratio means we are not taking into consideration the current assets here. Okay, so only net fixed assets figure is used, that becomes fixed assets turnover ratio. Means what we are trying to find out here is uh, how well the net fixed assets are used, to generate the sales, how efficiently the total assets are used for generating the sales, how the net assets are used to generate the particular figure of the sales. Okay, same with the last one, that is current assets turnover ratio, sales upon current assets, that is whatever current assets we have, how well they have been utilized. Okay, same way the fifth one is net current asset turnover, that means sales upon net current asset. Clear hai ye? Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I would suggest that this will take some time from your side also to understand this ratios properly. Okay, so we go ahead with the numericals. Okay, and I also want to spend some time on the test discussion, because some of the common mistakes you all have done. Highest marks are uh, around 7 marks. Three to two mistakes everybody has done. Okay, so I was not expecting that, because we discussed those points in the number of sessions, and I thought that you will take it, means, attempt it rightly, but some of the common mistakes all of you have done, so I would like to spend some time on that. Now going ahead with this problems, are you able to see the statement of the problem?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I am reading it out. Company has made plans for next year. It is estimated that the company will employ total assets of 8 lakh rupees. Okay, so total capital to be employed is 8 lakh, and that will be raised 50% by borrowed capital, that is debt will be 4 lakh rupees, and the remaining 4 lakh rupees will be the owner's own fund, that is through shares or his own capital. And this borrowed capital is taken as a loan from the institute at 8% year. Okay, then direct costs for the year are estimated at 4,80,000. Direct cost means all things till manufacturing, okay, which are directly linked with a particular manufacturing of the product. Okay, then all other operating expenses are 80,000 rupees. Then the goods will be sold to customer at 150% of the direct cost. So direct costs are 4,80,000. It's 1.5 times will be the uh, total sales amount which we are generated. Then tax rate is 50%. Okay. So you are required to calculate net profit margin, return on assets, asset turnover, and return on owner's equity. Okay. So first of all, we'll try to find out what is the profit figure by putting all these things in a proper sequence. Okay. So first of all, sales figure is 150 times 4 lakh 80,000. Okay. So it comes to 7 lakh 20,000 rupees. Now direct costs are 4 lakh 80,000 that we are going to subtract. So that gives you gross profit. Okay, so gross profit, if you remember, is the profit which is before paying of any other type of things other than direct costs, that is manufacturing costs or cost of goods sold. That only we are subtracting. All other things, interest, taxes, and other operating expenses, we are not considering here. Okay, so that becomes 2,40,000 is the gross profit. After that, operating expenses means administrative and other transport and all those things, all expenses are 80,000. Interest is 8% of 4 lakh, that is given 8% per year, that is 32,000. So if you subtract that, it becomes 1,12,000. And the profit before taxes, okay, sorry, 2 lakh profit before taxes is 1,28,000. This total 80 plus 32 is 1,12,000 rupees, and that is subtracted from 2,40,000. That was the gross profit. You get 1,28,000. Understood? Did you understand this 1,28,000 figure? Hello?
Sir, is my repeat?
Your voice is not audible. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then taxes are 50%. 50% of 1,28,000. Okay, so that becomes 64,000, and that's why net profit after taxes is 64,000. Okay. So now net profit margin, this net word has come, and if you go back to the ratios discussion, net profit margin is actually the formula is profit after taxes upon sales. Okay, so sales figure is 7,20,000, and profit after taxes we had found out is 64,000. Okay, so we get as 8.9%. Net profit margin is 8.9%. Then return on assets. Return on assets is EBIT, that is earnings before interest and taxes, in the bracket 1 minus T. So this reason we had seen already why we are using EBIT 1 minus T, just to have a proper comparison and proper value of return on assets. Because if you subtract the interest, okay, then we'll also have the impact of capital structure. Okay, so if we want to have a fair analysis of returns on asset without having any reference to the way the capital has been raised, then we should use EBIT. So this interest before earnings before interest and taxes figure is 1,60,000. So how did we come to this? If we see the gross profit is 2,40,000. Okay, so 2,40,000 minus 80,000, because 32,000 is the interest which we are not subtracting. Okay, so before you paid the interest, what was the profit? That is 2.4 lakhs minus 80,000. That comes to 1,60,000. Okay, and in the bracket 1 minus 0.5, that T is nothing but the tax rate which is given 0.5 divided by the assets. Total assets which the firm is expected to use in the next year is 8 lakh rupees. Okay, so that's how we get 10%. Return on its assets is 10%. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Okay, so we go ahead. So second term is asset turnover. Now asset turnover is sales, total sales which we are generating, and how much is the asset which was required and how many times it was churned. Okay, so total sales is 7,20,000 divided by 8 lakhs. Okay, so 0.9 times, not even one time we could turn it down, turnover. Okay, so 0.9 times your assets have been turned around to get the sales figure. Okay, and the last one is return on the owner's equity. So owner's equity is how much here? Out of 8 lakh rupees, how much was raised through debt and how much was raised through equity? Are you understanding the problem? What is the owner's equity here out of 8 lakhs?
Sir,
4
4
lakh
lakhs.
rupees. Okay. And the total sales figure, total net profit after taxes is 64,000. Okay. So 64,000 divided by 50% of 8 lakhs, that is 4 lakh 0.16. Now the question may come to your mind. Here we are using net profit after taxes. Here we are using EBIT figure. Here again we are using profit after taxes. Okay, so why these differences are there? So that's why I was telling you. Even if you use EBIT 1 minus T upon owner's equity, that also could be used. Only thing is that you should know what is the inference to be drawn out of that. Okay, so when you are using EBIT, that means we are trying to ignore the advantages or disadvantages the capital is, because the interest which is paid is a expense deductible from the corporate taxes. Okay, and also depending how if you modify the debt component more, the profitability will increase. Okay, so if you want to stress upon only the operating profits, then you should use EBIT. But if you want in general what is the profitability, then you can go for net profit after taxes. Okay, and numerator figure is denominator figure is going to be taken what with respect to what you want to compare your profits. Okay, like how well the owner's equity has been used, then you can say uh, the net profit figure is how it is being related to owner's equity. How it is related to other terms like sales, then you can go for profit after tax upon sales. Okay, so return on equity it is asked. Return on something else if you are asked, then return on assets, return on net assets, like this if you are asked, then you can put the denominator figure accordingly. Okay, so I again tell you that these things you will have to again read once, because these are the new things to our branch, the financial terms. Okay, so we'll have to read them one more time. If you don't understand, you can read it again. Okay, so that the terminologies are very clearly understood. Okay, now going ahead with the second numerical, total sales which are given totally on credit, means everything what you have given to your dealers who help you to sell your products. Everything is on sell. Okay, so that is 6,40,000 rupees amount of products are given on credit. It has a gross profit margin of 15%. Okay, that is gross profit is nothing but sales minus cost of goods sold upon sales. That figure is 15%. And a current ratio of 2.5. Current ratio is nothing but current assets upon current liability equal to 2.5. Then the firm's current liabilities are 96,000. Okay, so from this figure you can find out current assets because current ratio is given 2.5. So 96 multiplied by 2.5 you'll get current assets. Then inventories which we are maintaining is 48,000. Cash in hand is 16,000. Okay, so we need to determine the average inventory to be carried by the firm. And if the inventory turnover is 5 times as expected, 360 days per year is assumed, then determine the average collection period if the opening balance of the debtors is intended to be of 80,000. Okay, so average collection period formula or ratio we had today only we had discussed it. Okay, so first is average inventory, so or say the average or say inventory turnover ratio. So inventory turnover ratio is cost of goods sold upon average inventory. Okay, so now out of this we know inventory turnover which is given as 5 times. We know cost of goods sold indirectly from the sales figure, and we need to find out average inventory. Now cost of goods sold is basically found out from the gross profit margin, that is given as 15%. The cost of goods sold should be 85% of the sales amount. So how do we come to this conclusion is this: gross profit margin formula is sales minus cost of goods sold upon sales. Okay, so if you take sales into 0.15, sales again comes on the left hand side, it becomes 1 minus 0.15, that is 0.85 times sales is equal to cost of goods sold. Okay, so that's why we get this 5,44,000 is the cost of goods sold, and when you sell it on every product you get a 15% profit. That is the meaning of it. Okay, and that's how we get to the sales figure. Okay, 15 percent of it is added to this, you get 6,40,000. Okay, so average inventory is nothing but 1,08,800 rupees. Amount of average inventory is to be carried throughout the year. Okay. Then the second is determine the average collection period. Now for this you need to find out the debtors in the beginning and at the end. Okay, so the at end it is given as 80,000. At the beginning, for that you will have to find out what are the assets, current asset terms given here. 96,000 is the current liability. From that you can find out current asset by the way by using 2.5 into 96,000. Okay, so average collection period is average debtors upon credit sales. Okay, so credit sales figure is known to us. Average debtors needs to be found out. Okay, average debtors is opening debtors plus closing debtors. So closing debtors is known to us 80,000. Opening debtors we need to find out. Okay, so current assets is 2.5 times of the current liabilities, that is 96,000 into 2.5 is nothing but 2,40,000 rupees. Clear? Now you subtract 48,000, that is inventories, and the cash 16,000 from them, and you get the debtors figure. Now 2,40,000 is the current asset. Current asset terms are inventories, cash, debtors, or any other thing which is going to get converted into cash in a period of less than 1 year is nothing but current asset term. Okay, so we are assuming that there are only 3 inventory, cash, and debtors. There is no other term which is going to contribute to current assets here. So that's the assumption. So 48 and 16 term, if you subtract, then you get 1,76,000 as the opening debtors amount. Okay, so you get the average as 1,76,000 plus 80,000. That is the figure which is given here in the numerical. At the end of the year debtors figure, you get 1,28,000. So you put this value here, 1,28,000. There was 6,40,000. That is total credit sales. Okay. So basically credit sales by average debtors, that gives you debtors ratio or say debtors turnover and 360 divided by debtors turnover will give you the average collection period. So average collection period is of 72 days, means every 72 days you recover almost everything which you have given on credit, and again you start with the new credits, which are again paid back by the debtors by the next 72 days, within next 72 days. Clear? So I went very quickly because I want to take you also through the small discussion on this. Okay, so you can note down if you have any queries on this. Maybe next time we can discuss them in detail.